Lashana Tova. Yes, so it's a Happy New Year. This is Rosh Hashana is a Happy New Year, but it's also the beginning of the 10 days of awe. This is the season where we lead now from today into, well, it's not actually today, but it is this weekend, so we're right on schedule here. But we lead into that time of reflection. So Rosh Hashana is this great holiday and celebration, but it's also about getting your ducks in a row, right? It's like really looking at how have we been this past year. Because the other blessing is may you be sealed in the book of life for another year, right? We want to make sure. The Rabbi Gelman, who always taught me in seminary, he used to say he woke up every morning. He said, "Thanks for another day." He was written in the book of life for another day. Every day was a blessing. He's in the book, and he wants to stay in the book for today. He lasted 99 years in the book today, and every single one of those days up and about, living on his own in his own fancy schmancy apartment in Manhattan. So it's a great way to be. But that connection to the divine and keeping that connection alive and well and thriving in each and every one of us. And Rosh Hashana, as also Yom Kippur, these are days of celebration in Jewish tradition where you spend a lot of time in the synagogue. This one, you got to get your seats. You go and you're there and you listen to all the Torah, the Haftorah, all the different stories out of the Bible, and listen to them and try to get a new sense of awareness of what they mean and to dig into them. Isn't that what happens in all traditions and the way the cycle of the year always goes? Or every year we hear the same stories at this time of year. And we're asked to take those same stories and continue to go deeper and deeper and finding a richer meaning in the spirituality of them. That's what life is, right? We get up every day and we think, I'm doing the same thing. Life is the same thing. I get up and I'm doing the same thing. Yes, you're doing the same thing. But what's the deeper meaning in it? What more can you get out of it? Because again, our focus has to be on the outside and the inside simultaneously. So I'm not doing the same thing the same way. That transforms our life. By doing the same thing in a different way that uplifts us. And that way, as we talked about all summer, is a way of a higher consciousness, a way of being and connecting that allows us to be in that spirit and that sense of connectedness to the world and everything about us. And Rosh Hashana also brings in this word that I love, and that is awe. Awe in our spirituality. Awe in that opening and this process that we're brought through in these 10 days. Now, one of the stories in the celebration of Rosh Hashana is the reading of the story of Jonah and the whale. For those of you who didn't know that, that's one of the stories that I read, Jonah and the whale. And, there's this process that goes on in life with a new year. A new year is what? A birthing, right? It's a connection. And in the birthing process, there is this thing that happens. What's the first thing that happens? Any woman who's given birth would say, what the first thing that birthing feels like is you're broken open. And that's it. There's this breaking that goes on in the spiritual process of our lives. And when all of us get to the place where life is breaking us, what do we say? Why me? How come? This is so hard. And we should be saying, whoa, hallelujah. Why? Because the birthing is upon us. The breaking is bringing us to a newer place. In the story of Jonah, he is there to talk about the waves breaking and crashing down on him. And in that place of the waves coming down on him and crashing him, his cry out to God is there, help me, like her song, that idea of transformation. How can I be transformed in the midst of the breaking of life? What happens is God sends the whale. Big fish. Big fish, really, but we'll call it the whale. That's our big fish. And Jonah, in that whale, It's in that belly of the whale. And he has a chance to, as the whale, the animal in the sea that has oxygen, right? Breathes in air. Gives you that chance to breathe. That's the last thing we think of when everything is crashing down on us. When all of life is happening for us, the last thing we think of is to breathe. But to breathe. And even the last thing we think of in birth, in the birth process, right? I'm being cracked open. And what do they say? Breathe. Get the breath going. And if you can, get a deep one in. And bring yourself back. Bring yourself back. So that you have the energy and the courage to push through. That's life. That's our spiritual journey. But these 10 days, we're in the whale. JoAnn was in for 3. We're in for 10. And being in here now is to look at, this is going to be a new year. We're pushing through. It's a time of reflection and looking at, as we said in our declaration of intent, how do we do? And not for a sense of judging. We're so big on this judging thing. So quick to judge others. Rosh Hashana is come back. Look at yourself. We call ourselves spiritual beings having a human experience. I'll tell you right now, being spiritual doesn't mean judging others. That's the humanness coming out. So Rosh Hashana says, start new. Bring it back to yourself. Something's happening, you're feeling a crushing, fear, worry, concern. Things not going the way we want it to go. It's like that song in the Moon of Transformation. It's not right. I'm come about my way. Help me. Help me come in partnership with the divine. Despite how strongly I think it should be different. There's a couple of questions I wanted to add to these questions in your declaration of intent. And I hope you take your programs home, and those of you who are on live with us, that you look at the program and you see these questions. Maybe write them down and answer them for yourself to see how you've done. I want to add a few more. What have you learned about yourself this year? What have I learned about myself this year? How has the past year faced me to think about what's important to me? And we still have this time of year where, right, we're still in the pandemic. We still need to be careful. We still need to be cautious, not only just about ourselves. We have to be mindful of each other and care about the feelings, the breath of another. What have I learned about what's really important to me? What really matters? What really matters? What are your spiritual anchors when life is uncertain? They should be growing. They should be deepening. Here at Gathering, we always talk about gathering tools, positive, practical tools to continue to grow spiritually. Take those tools and know that they should be shifting up. That's the thing about the changing of the season. All of nature is saying, do it a little bit differently now. The energies are changing. Just don't do the same old, same old. Right? I think that's the definition of insanity. Then we're doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Got to shift it up a little bit. So what are your anchors? What works for you? How do you need to refresh them, to bring them about, to make them a stronger sense, to move you in another way, to bring you to this place so that you can have that transformation process that we will come to in Yom Kippur. And a day when we really take all of these things. And hopefully, when you look at all of these things, you will find a lot of the things that you didn't do to the best of your ability. That's the glory of this. That you come to this Father, this King, and you say, I made mistakes. I messed up. Why is everybody so afraid to say they made mistakes? Mistakes are the best things in life. Why? Because through the mistakes I learned. We should be having more celebration for the mistakes. Because when we stop, we don't want to grow from them. Is where the problem is. So, the last thing he's saying, question I want to ask. What have you taken for granted? What do we take for granted? And that's reflected in a lot of the questions in our Declaration of Independence. So this is a joyous time. It is the birth of the world. It is that opening. Hayom Harot Olam. Happy birthday to the world. What is your world like? And how do you want it to be? At least for the coming year. This is the time to put it all together and bring it to the divine so that we can start anew, refreshed and really strong, and come out of the beast, pushing through into transformation and glory. What a thing to have all for, and what a possibility that we are graced. It's so